I've literally just come back from the Sony event called Coffees and Cameras, where they actually had a Sony FX5 there where you can get hands on. From what I saw, they probably only had about 2 to 3 FX5s, but I managed to actually spend a good amount of time with one of them. I would say in total, I managed to probably get about half hour of hands-on experience. And what did I learn from that half hour-ish with the FX5 is that it's definitely not a camera for me. For anyone who doesn't know me, I do actually do professional photography and videography, mostly photography. And the reason why the FX5 did pique my interest is just because it's got open gate. The raw recordings are a bonus, but really and truly it is actually in fact the open gate that I'm actually looking for. A lot of the video work that I do is actually shooting events, so a lot of the times we're having to sort of compose for 2 separate formats. So it does actually mean when I'm shooting a video where I know there's going to be a copy that's going to go on Instagram and TikTok versus a YouTube, I actually then have to back up quite a lot and shoot basically extra wide. Where open gate will really help out is the fact that I've got a little bit more headroom and a little bit more room at the bottom. It's not a perfect fix, but every little helps. So I know I had very limited time with the camera, but what I just truly wanted to test was just how that open gate looked. So with the fact that I knew that I'm only going to have very little time with the camera, I wanted to just spend a lot of time capturing sample footage really. But then what I spent a lot of the time doing is actually kind of like almost wrestling with the camera. And what I mean by that is that I actually shoot Sony A9 III, A1 II. I'm very familiar with the Sony Alpha menu system. I have an A7S III which I'm shooting on at the moment. I've got an FX30 up there which I regularly use. But the menu system on the Sony FX5 is completely different. I've never shot with any of the cinema line cameras like the FS6 or the Burano, but I'm told that the menu system kind of mimics what they have to offer. I'm also told that the camera does not take any photos at all, not even with an E-shutter. So it does actually just solidify the point that this is a full-blown cinema camera, but just in a much smaller package. There were some previous debates with the Sony FX3 with it being called a cinema line camera, but some people kind of debating, is it really, or is it just a cinema line body? Me personally, I actually don't really know what makes a cinema camera a cinema camera. So aside from the fact that the first impression of the camera was that the menu system is just completely different and just wildly complex compared to what I'm used to, that alone in itself has put me off buying the camera. There are a few other points which I kind of wanted to touch on. First off, it's the new battery type as well, because this camera, the Sony a7R6, now introduces a new battery system. I've said this in a previous video where I've got tons of NP-FZ100 batteries, and it's kind of disappointing that they have switched over, but I can understand why. If they are able to offer and squeeze out a little bit more battery life with the new battery, who am I to complain? I'm only complaining because I've got a ton of NP-FZ100 batteries. But in saying that, anecdotally speaking, when I had the camera in my hand, I did feel that the battery life on that FX5 was draining pretty fast. Unfortunately, I didn't plan this trip very well in the sense where I just literally grabbed a UPO tri-charge on the way out the door because I just knew I needed some spare batteries. And thankfully, it did actually have some memory cards in the memory card slots. I had 2 128 gig SD cards and I had an 80 gig CF Express Type A. Now bearing in mind, as I'm managing the camera, I kind of wanted to get as much raw content as I could, but these cards were filling up incredibly fast. Obviously shooting raw, I know I'm going to expect to get less, I just didn't realize how much less. Another thing to note as well is the side of the screen is actually bigger. But what I would say is it's not as impressive to me as the Nikon ZR. I remember holding the Nikon ZR and I was just like wowed by that screen. Whereas the Sony FX5, it did feel bigger, but it's just not drastically bigger. If anything, it just felt wider. So as you're viewing the back of the screen to kind of like monitor your image, it doesn't feel any different to any other Sony camera that I've been using. There may be a technical benefit where if you count the pixels, you got a bigger size real estate and all that type of stuff, but I just didn't feel it. The Nikon ZR screen was much more impactful to me when I first kind of put that camera in my hands. The detachable viewfinder is something which I actually enjoyed more than I expected to. I had that criticism with the FX2 when the viewfinder is kind of attached and you can't detach it because there's times when you want it and when you don't want it. So I do like the fact that with the FX5 it is an option where you can actually detach it. That would help out massively when it comes to packing your bag, just so things can fit in a much nicer, and then again you have the options to put it on when you need it. And then when using the viewfinder, it actually cups the eyes so much so that it actually feels very immersive when you're looking in. I don't get that feeling when I'm actually using my usual viewfinders on my Sony Alpha cameras. So if I were to have the FX5, I could actually see myself using that viewfinder maybe more than I would be using the viewfinders on these Alphas, because in reality, on these Alphas, I don't actually use the viewfinder. Now on the next point, I have to preface that and remind everyone that I'm coming from Sony Alpha systems, so I'm quite familiar with Sony cameras, but again, this is kind of like a very different system. And the point I'm going to raise is the reboot time. Whenever you change a setting, you have to reboot the camera. It doesn't take excessively long, but I'm just not used to that rebooting or confirming to execute. When I'm changing the codec or frame rate on my Sony Alpha cameras, it just changes. Whereas on the Sony FX5, you have to make the selection, you make the change, it confirms with you if you want to execute the change or not, you execute, and then it goes through a rebooting process. Funny enough, I just saw an Instagram reel from Chris Brockhurst before recording this video, and he does talk about that is already existed in the FX6. But again, I've not shot or owned an FX6, and I'm coming from a Sony Alpha line camera. Not everyone out there would be coming from an FX6, as you will have people coming in from the Alpha cameras trying to step up into the cinema line, and they may already have an FX30 or an FX3, and they share the same menu systems as the Alpha cameras. The FX5 is way more closer to an FX6 and a Burano than any of the cameras that I'm familiar with. So that being said, I do feel there's room for an FX3 Mark II. I actually do believe there should be an FX3 Mark II. It doesn't have to offer the internal RAW recording, the viewfinder, but if we can get the new and improved autofocusing system to kind of bring it into 2026, as well as 3x2 open gate, and then sprinkle in a couple of additional frame rates at 3x2 at 60p, as well as 4K 240, a few extra features like that, I think that'd be a solid update. But I was very interested in this camera, like I said, purely for just the 3x2 aspect ratio. But at that price point, and with the complex menu system, it's definitely not a camera that will suit my workflow. I'm very much run and gun. A lot of the content I create is quick turnaround event stuff for social media. But if I ever start moving into some more cinematography type of stuff, I could definitely see space for this camera within that workflow. But right now, in 2026, I just have to admire that camera from afar. Just dream of that one day where I could potentially justify one. But until then, it's not for me. Might rent one for a shoot just for the fun of it. I don't know if you can tell, but this is me actually just trying to talk myself out of wanting one or wanting to buy one, because I know logically it won't add anything to my work. I just like buying the latest and greatest toys. There's an event next Tuesday at CBP. I'm going to attend that event, and I'm just going to try and learn more about the camera in itself. I think there might be another hands-on, but otherwise I think it just might be them talking about the benefits of all the new features, really. And maybe after that event I might feel differently about the camera, but to be honest, I still think I will stay away from not buying it. It's just purely because the type of work that I do, it just doesn't need it. But otherwise, that's it from me. Just watching.